When you see the basis and seriousness of the allegation I have made about the state of Washington's conduct, the way they've neglected to properly investigate, you do realize that the evidence is something so serious they do have an obligation to investigate. Instead, they have been helping cover for and advocate for an attack on me as a private citizen and member of the public, with consequences for the public. Now, the Beatles put out the White Album on November 22nd, 1968, and included music that was suitable for the severity of the tragedy that had taken place exactly 5 years earlier. But they also pinned it with graffiti-minded asides alluding to, in mockery, not mourning the case, but laughing about it, a sort of schadenfreude towards the assassination of JFK. Then they pulled a Houdini switcheroo, so you can't say that without the finger being pointed back at you, or what the friends in King Crimson called the Sergeant Mirror spin. So, appearing rather like the idea of everything you say turns around and goes back at you. Back in the USSR with Lee Harvey Oswald and so on. They used the deniability computer to come up with graffiti of the Confederate nature. The Confederate Secret Service was positioned in Liverpool in the war between the states, the Civil War. And they worked with Oswald Mosley and named their rock band after the Volkswagen created by Adolf Hitler, their guru. And Lennon would say things about a whole pile of dummies missing it. Well, the deniability computer comes up with the way the Green Party worked in Allegheny County of Pittsburgh also. There's a terroristic tactic of besmudging the environment, scouring the Android zone with physical graffiti innuendos that clearly trigger the hopelessness and power of communication that cannot be pinned down. And this leads to an imagination about what is real that causes trigger-happy people to retaliate in kind and degrades the entire spectrum of law enforcement. One cannot deny that there is a pattern, but beyond calling attention to it and showing what that pattern portends, it's difficult to prove. Now, in the letters that came from Israel, the coincidences are so great that it can no longer be coincidence. The sum total probability of all the coincidences in those letters is zero. That's perfectly obvious. And that's where the state is at fault, because feeding on the alibi system that underwrites the deniability computer, they applied deniability computer doctrine to something that anyone could see was spelling out in cold blood a homicidal attack. Interestingly, one that didn't happen, to promote a snuff film that is a work in progress. This is Hollywood at its most in belly of the beast, as someone said.